On the streetcar project, I describe myself as kind of been the technical leader. There's other people that have been involved in different leadership positions, the mayor and citizens, but I bring a lot of expertise about how to solve capital problems, how to get a road built and how to get a bridge built, how to get an interchange built. Same problem with streetcar. You have to answer some questions about how to pay for it, how to generate those revenues, where it should go and stuff, and balance all those problems. So my role has been more of a high-level problem solver and trying to show people the path to go. It's been a very narrow path, but there's definitely a path forward, and if we stick to that path, we'll get it done. Well, the main difference is the technology changed. The technology of the day 10 years ago to maybe 35 years ago was light rail. And light rail is a slimmed down version of a heavy rail, but it's still kind of a big vehicle. It takes up a lot of space, it requires dedicated right-of-way, big longer train, and what we struggled with in Kansas City, I think the main problem that we struggled with was Kansas City's not laid out real well for light rail. And the reason why it's not is because it was built around streetcar technology. If you look at the street grid south of the river, and how the streets move, flow, rise, and fall, they do that because almost in every case there was a streetcar line running on top of that arterial. The streetcar system was taken out in 1957, and then so light rail was again, as this technology of the day, we were trying to fit a light rail system back into a streetcar city. Well, streetcars now are back as the preferred technology in these areas because they figured out how to build them they're fast, but yet not as big and bulky as a light rail vehicle. It's light rail is what it is, and so it fits perfectly into our urban fabric because streetcars were once here, so it's real easy to put them back in from that perspective. You're talking about speed and you're talking about technology. The modern streetcar can go 45 miles an hour. You get it out on the open road in a dedicated right-of-way, it can pick up speed and get to a lot of different places very quickly. But it's hard to do that again in the denser part of the city. Case in point, Chicago L. All those L stations outside the Chicago Loop are pretty far apart. They pick up speed, and they can pick up speed. But the stations are spaced pretty far apart. Inside the Loop, they're about every 2 blocks, just like our streetcar system that we're proposing. So our initial spine from about 6th Street to 20th Street is every 2 blocks. But as we look forward to the future, I think that you will see that those stations probably will not be spaced as close together, and maybe even if it crossed the river and got into some more very some more sparsely populated areas, that it could get into a dedicated right-of-way and really pick up speed. Well, I think that the streetcar is a component. It is not the solution. It's not the end solution to repopulating the urban core. We have already done some of the things necessary. We helped reinvigorate housing downtown, and that has taken off. And now we have a waiting list of people wanting to come downtown, which should drive new development because it appears the market's willing to support a higher rent rate for that. We have put in entertainment options downtown and other retail options downtown. We have we did the right thing by bringing the arena back into downtown. Maybe someday we'll bring baseball into downtown. Those are the right decisions. We are doing what we can to continue to help the arts community, which is a critical creative component to Kansas City and the employment centers downtown. The streetcar will be that as well, because it will allow people to move around downtown without having to go find their car wherever it's parked, walk to wherever it's parked, go get in it, and then drive to wherever they're going, and then find another parking space and get into it. And a lot of our zoning codes already kind of reflect that. There are no parking requirements downtown. If you want to bring a business to downtown Kansas City, the city doesn't say you have to have parking. Now your business partners or your bank or your lender or whomever may say, well, you have to have parking. That's the private sector making those decisions. But the city has no parking requirements for any business downtown. And also now, within a two-block east-west alignment of the streetcar, the parking restrictions have been relaxed as well. And so we get at the city these issues, and there's a lot of pieces that have to be put together. It has to be a safe environment. We need to as a community address the school situation. I think the mayor set the right tone on that. Yes, it doesn't say anywhere in the city charter that their schools are any of our business, but we're going to make them our business because we need a high quality education system to not only attract people to the area but to create the workforce that companies want so they will locate here. Transit is part of an overall transportation plan, and transportation is never about moving people around. It's about economic development. And so what you really have to do is figure out how to utilize transportation, whether it's transit or anything else, in a way that creates jobs and creates a better quality of life. And in the 50s or so, we adopted this mentality in the United States that somehow freeways, which emphasis on the term free, were how to do economic development. And it worked. We got tons of suburbs which were massively subsidized by a free highway system. Nobody had to pay for directly to build a subdivision, had to pay for necessarily an interstate to connect it. The interstate was already there, which is probably the first time in the history of the country that we ever done something like that, because most of the transportation network we put in prior to the interstate system, somebody had to pay for. If you wanted to put a development out in South Kansas City, you had to probably run a streetcar out there to do it and pay for that streetcar. But in the United States, we embraced interstates, and I think it's created a lot of jobs. It created a lot of opportunity, opened up a lot of land. But there is a point of where you get a tipping point where it's not sustainable, and you can't just keep growing out. The cure for obesity is not to loosen your belt. The cure for obesity is to change your lifestyle. And America is getting, I think a lot of cities are getting, that they have to change their lifestyle. They can't just keep loosening the belt. They have to figure out how to integrate people back. They have to keep the density. Some people, yeah, they want to live out in that suburban area, but some people don't. And we have to be able to provide a mixed product to make the city attractive as a whole. I think the city feels that we have a great product in our Sprint Center. And we looked at that really close and said, why is it a great product? What went right? And what we feel went right is the fact that the city lent its expertise as a generator of tax revenue and a builder of buildings and things to that project. We said, okay, we'll levy a tax on rental cars or a fee on rental cars, and we will build the building. But what the city realized from past experiences, they're not really good at operating things that are especially customer service focused. We used to, we had experiences at Kemper in our convention center where we haven't went really well. We don't operate our zoo anymore. That's privatized. So there's a lot of amenities out there that there's a better type of operational model than the usually just all in the government model. Even some of our trash collection, we don't operate. It's operated by private sector. So with that in mind, we really always wanted a entity to essentially operate this for us outside of the traditional realm of city government, where there was a private sector board of experts in partnership with the city that was lending their ability to make the right decisions and perhaps even to depoliticize those decisions somewhere. You know, what is best? Let's make the right decision for what's downtown streetcar versus let's make the right decision that will get me reelected. That those two decisions aren't always the same. So I think this is a good blend where we're heading to. Portland did this as well, and Portland's considered the inventor of modern streetcar. But Portland set up a streetcar authority to do exactly what we're doing here in Kansas City. Interestingly enough, Portland is dissolving their streetcar authority because they found out that the operational challenges have been worked through. There's a good model, and it's more and how to operate a streetcar successfully is kind of burned into their culture. So really, who does it is going to kind of do it the same way. Kansas City's not there yet. We have some learning curves to go through, and we are going to need to deal with some challenges and adopt what it is the culture is to how to run a streetcar system. And maybe someday the city will bring that back in-house. But for now, we think that this is important that it be done in this collaborative way with the private sector. Well, I think that there is a great need for a modern terminal at the airport that is airline friendly and Kansas City friendly at the same time. But we need an airline friendly, and if you are an infrequent flyer, you probably think the airport's just fine. And for an infrequent flyer, it probably is. If you are a routine flyer, I'm sure that you've had a lot of experiences at the airport. You wish things were different, especially if your flight was delayed and you needed to hang out at the airport for a while and figure out what to do. But from an airline's point of view, absolutely, they hate our airport. They do what they can with it because they want to service the Kansas City market, but they cannot operate in a way that, one, allows them to bring more type of flights to Kansas City. And the reason is they can't transfer anybody at Kansas City. United right now is sitting across two different terminals. So anybody has to get off one United flight and get on another one has to leave the secure area, get on a bus, take the bus to the other one, and go back through security and get on. Well, an airline can't operate that way because they can't turn the passengers fast enough, and the planes sit on the ground too long. And of course, if you're flying out on United, you got to know before you go to the airport which terminal where your gate is, so you know which terminal to show up at. I mean, it's kind of nonsensical. Every airline that's tried to connect passengers through Kansas City, every single one of them that's basically focused on doing that in a big way has went broke. It's where in the industry it says where hub airlines go to die. And if you want to have world-class airports that can take you to international flights, that can get you from here to Europe, that can get you to all the major points on the coast, non-stop, we're going to need a new terminal. At one time, 5,000 people worked for TWA, and they lived north of the river. 5,000 people. That's a huge employment center. Today there are none. The overhaul base is closed, and the headquarters of TWA has long been gone. They started to pull out of Kansas City in 1982 specifically because of the terminal design. We can't just keep being complacent. If you want to keep yourself employed and you want to keep your kids employed and you want them to live here in Kansas City, we have to have job centers, and the airport needs to be a job center. We are a leading transportation hub for rail in the United States. More rail cars move through Kansas City every day than any other city in the United States. We move more surface transportation cargo on highways through Kansas City than any other city in the United States. So we're number one in rail, we're number one in trucks, and we used to be in the region in the Midwest number one in aviation. TWA, and transatlantic flights were invented in Kansas City by Howard Hughes and TWA. It was invented here, and we need to regain our position as an aviation leader. Other than the other things I'm working on, obviously I got in-district issues I'm working on. We're building out a lot of infrastructure in 2nd District, and that's been a high priority of mine, and we're making very good progress on that. we're working on our water and sewer department and trying to get it more customer friendly and get its infrastructure needs really measured out and funded. I'm happy to say that we have struggled for years on street funding, and we're starting to turn the corner on that thanks to the voters on question 1. God bless. The impact of what they did has not been realized, but even though it's still short of what we really need to be doing every year, we're going to be doing more than we ever have. It's still short, but we're going to be doing more street resurfacing every year, starting next year, than we ever have in the history of Kansas City. And so 5 years from now, people are just going to be amazed at what they bought. And they gave us that ability to do that forever. So thank you, Kansas City, for trusting in us, and we're going to deliver on that.